Oh, hello, this is Tak Chung from Walk with Tak. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share. Please feel free to write me at walkwithtak@gmail.com if you have any questions regarding to this video or any other videos that I have posted in the past. If you have any videos that you would like me to make, please let me know. I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Recently, I bought a new kind of noodles that known as knife-cut noodles. As the name suggests, they probably cut the noodles by knife. I boiled a whole bag of noodles because I'm going to try to cook it different ways. The first way I'm going to cook it is that I'm going to make a lo mein, which is very simple and straightforward to do. Now, the other noodles that I save, I decided I'm going to keep it in the refrigerator for about 48 hours because I'm going to fry it to make a fried noodles. A fried noodles is one of the 3 ways that you can cook noodles. A fried noodles, basically, you actually fry the noodles in oil and then you stir fry it at the end. The other way to make noodles, one is chow mein, which you actually stir fry the noodle together with the food ingredients. The third way is lo mein. In this method, you take the food ingredients and you mix the noodles separately before you serve the dish. The method that I'm going to show you in this video is what is known as pan-fried noodles. In the case of pan-fried noodles, you add the noodles to the wok with some oil in it and you fry the noodles so you create a crispy texture, at least in some of the noodles. It depends on how long you want to fry it. You can make it more crispy. A fried noodle is probably the most challenging way to cook noodles because noodles contain a lot of starch and the starch tend to absorb oil very rapidly and consequently it will remove the protective oil film which you establish during the seasoning process, and the end result is that the noodles tend to stick and burn to the surface of the wok. You can never take noodles that have been freshly cooked and try to fry it because the moisture in the noodles definitely will cause a lot of problem in the frying process. And the only way to avoid that is to keep the noodles in the refrigerator for about 48 hours. By keeping it in the refrigerator for this length of time, it will dry out the noodles. Now, the exact mechanism how they work, I really do not know. But however, through my trial and error, I discovered that if I keep noodles in the refrigerator for the amount of time when I fry them, and then they will not stick and burn to the surface of the wok. And in fact, in here, I can demonstrate to you in these noodles which it would not stick. Now, these noodles, I was a little bit concerned because it's much thicker than the other noodles that I have tried in the past. When noodles are thinner, it's more likely that they're able to fry properly. But when it's thick like this, that could be a problem. But in this case, it seemed to really work. As you can see, some of the noodles are properly charred, and this charring gives the noodles really great flavor. And for my wife and I, we really enjoy cooking the noodle this way. Now, I have cooked noodle this way for many different types of noodles. This including spaghetti pasta noodles, egg noodles, rice noodles. And this noodles is the first one that I test. I'm pretty happy because it turned out really well. So I'm going to put the noodles on a plate and I use it as a bed, which I'm going to cook a shrimp, broccoli, and green bean dish to go over these noodles. So together, this will make a complete meal. Since I have never pan-fried these noodles before, I was quite happy how they turned out. I think the dish is going to turn out great. So my method worked out really well. As you can see here, none of the noodles stick or burn to the surface of the wok. Now I'm ready to cook the dish with shrimp, broccoli, and green bean. I'm going to use the same wok without having to wash it, and I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of canola oil before I start cooking the vegetables. Now, this is very efficient that you can go just from one dish to the other using the same wok. In this dish, the broccoli and the green bean is going to be the primary ingredients, which I'm going to use most of the ingredients with this too. And I'm going to start out with about 2 cups of broccoli, and then this is followed by about 2 cups of green bean. For me, advanced prepping is the deal breaker. With advanced prepping, I'm able to choose different kinds of vegetables for cooking a dish. Without advanced prepping, I probably would be much limited of what I can use. Now, both the broccoli as well as the green bean has great shelf life. I prepped them about a week ago and I stored them in plastic container and they last really well. And so in this case, all I have to do is to find them in the refrigerator and I'm ready to cook. And the method that I'm going to use to stir fry these two vegetables is known as a dry stir fry. I use minimum amount of oil, so this will cause them to char. Now I'm ready to add the next ingredients. These are dry shiitake mushroom that has been rehydrated. Again, I prepped them about 5 days ago, so I have some extra. And then I'm also going to add some portobello mushroom. Again, they are in my advanced prepping. In the past, I used only one type of mushroom at a time, but my wife liked both of them. Then I decided I'm going to experiment with them by combining them together. Then I'm going to add some yellow squash. Now the yellow squash, I add a relatively small amount, mainly to introduce color to the dish. As you notice that I started with the green bean and the broccoli first, because that takes a bit longer time to cook. This method is frequently known as a sequential stir frying. By adding ingredients at different time, you can cook them at a different rate. For example, the shiitake mushroom and the portobello mushroom, as well as the yellow squash, I like to cook them not as much as in the case of broccoli and the green bean. So I add them later. By using this method, you can cook different ingredients to the precise texture that how you like it. Next, I'm going to add the shrimp to the stir fry. Now, shrimp is kind of tricky to cook because shrimp can be easily overcooked. And when shrimp is overcooked, they can become a little bit tough. And sometimes people call it leathery. So in order to cook the shrimp to the right texture, you have to time the shrimp at the point when you're going to add to the ingredients. The reason is because shrimp takes a little bit shorter time to cook. So you need to time it that when you add the shrimp, most of the ingredients that you want to cook, whatever the remaining time that you need to cook them will approximately the same amount of time that when the shrimp is going to be ready. Another thing that you also need to keep in mind is the size of your shrimp. If you use small shrimp, then obviously it will cook faster. And in this case, I actually use extra large shrimp. This type of shrimp, if you prefer to the type of number of shrimps per pound, which is frequently used to measure the size of the shrimp, this is a 20-60-16 type of shrimp. Now, I also use shrimp that comes with shell, and I remove the shell before I cook them. The reason I prefer to buy shrimp with shell, and this type of shrimp is frequently known as easy peel, so you can remove the shell relatively easily. The reason is that the shrimp that comes with shell, they can store in the refrigerator longer because they will not get freezer burn as in the case when shrimp come without shell. And so for this reason, even though it's more expensive sometimes to buy shrimp with shell because the shell have certain weight, but it is a much better type of shrimp to get. But now the shrimp is about 80 to 90% done. I'm going to start first season the dish with some Shaoxing cooking wine. I always go with the wine first before I add other type of seasoning because the wine will actually penetrate the food ingredients better by adding them first. And next, I start out with some oyster sauce. Oyster sauce is generally my foundation sauce because it usually do not have a strong flavor. It do not overwhelm the ingredients in the dish. Next, I usually add another sauce. In this case, I'm going to add a orange sauce which comes from Panda Express. Now, the combination of oyster sauce with other sauce is frequently a good strategy. The oyster sauce will increase the savoriness flavor of the dish. And then you can use another sauce to add whatever additional flavor that you want to introduce to the dish. The next, I'm going to use a small amount of water to create a light sauce. Now, I'd move the food away from the bottom of the wok and to find the area that has food ingredients or the sauce that stick and burn to the surface of the wok. Then I add a small amount of water, and by using a wok spatula, I'm able to detach them. Basically, I'm steaming off whatever that is burned. And this method is frequently also known as deglazing. The final step is that I'm going to add some color bell pepper. They're mini bell pepper, and they really add to the color of the dish. I add them way at the end because I only want to cook them very lightly. Okay, now the dish is done, I'm going to layer it over the noodles. Now you can use many different type of dishes to layer over the noodles, and quite often any dish that provide a lot of vegetables, and in some cases you don't even need a protein. However, you can substitute the shrimp with chicken or with beef. They all will work very well. This is a very versatile dish, and when I taste the noodles, I was surprised how good it is. Now this is the first time I cook this dish. I really do not know what to expect. In the final step, I'm going to garnish the dish with some scallions. So altogether, this dish has 7 different kinds of vegetables. This dish turned out really well. Both my wife and I are happily surprised. I think we will do this again. Here is a demonstration of how you can make home cooking simple but creative. This dish is based on template, so you don't really need a recipe. And by making the noodles to serve the functions, you can make it very efficient. I cook every night, and usually it takes me about 10 to 20 minutes to cook a meal. I want to demonstrate to you that it is possible for you to make home cooking as part of your daily routine using my fast cooking system. So if you'd like to learn more about this cooking system, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. So keep on cooking. I will see you tomorrow.